Oakbridge After Dark is produced by 97 to Now Productions.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Oakbridge After Dark.
After Dark.
I am Mark, the executive producer of Oakbridge.
I'm James, an executive producer and director of Oakbridge.
And with us today, we have two extremely talented individuals, both of which we've had the pleasure of working with on prior projects. First, Brian Murphy and the fantastic Clouser. Thank you, gentlemen, both for being here and joining us. We, of course, greatly appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
This is a great opportunity. I appreciate it.
Of course. No, we love to, here at 97 Now Productions, we love to, share with our audience, peel back the curtain, so to speak, and, especially provide the talent the opportunity to, get their name out there that much more and talk about the craft and talk about the love of the craft. Hopefully that's what we're going to hear in this interview. But you never know. I mean, one of the things I'm going to just preface right up front is that I know that Justin, and it's interesting because his demeanor is so not like what I would expect from a lawyer. I'm usually very rigid, but no, Justin's a great guy. Brian is the man of many voices, and we're going to go there. I'm going to get you to do some of the different character voices that you've done with us already, and lots of fun. But James, as the director of Oakbridge, first, talk to us a little bit about your experience working with these two gentlemen, and kind of what that looked like to preface before we kind of dive into each of them.
No, so I had never actually had the opportunity to work with Justin before. Like you said, we had worked on a prior project, and so being able to work with him this time was a lot of fun. Getting and it was also a different character from the other project. Brian, I just realized I was thinking about it. Yeah, you worked with him on Captain Fearless. I worked with him from the Jack R. Rabbit Files, Murder by Garlic.
Yep.
So so he's absolutely one of my favorite character actors to work with. He always just brings that
wacky BS.
Exactly. What do I need from you? Let's try this. And he'll give me something, and then let's try this, and then that's the one we'll use. So so he always comes with a great character in there.
Nice. So what we're going to do with the first question is going to be for both of you, but we'll start with Justin first. So tell the people, the audience who is listening, maybe they're not watching this live right now. Maybe they're listening after the fact or watching after the fact. Maybe they just got introduced to you as an actor through listening to Oakbridge, because this is releasing sometime in and around July. Just to peel back the curtain, today for us is May 22nd that we're recording this, but this is releasing at a later point. So Justin, tell the people who you are, what's your experience, what's your background, and what brought you to Oakbridge.
Well, again, my name's Justin. I am an attorney. Been an attorney for going on 46 years. My undergraduate degree is in theater, where I was trained as an actor, director, and I became a theatrical lighting designer for a while. Did some rock concerts in the late 60s, early 70s, which is why today I wear hearing aids.
They look nice.
Yeah, they fit. Yeah. They're hardly noticeable at all. But I've always been a fan of old time radio. As a kid, I was listening to Gunsmoke, Have Gun Will Travel, which were still being broadcast in the mid 50s to late 50s. And at one point, I had my own collection of about 7,000 old time radio shows. And so got the bug for that. I'm lit here in just south of Carson City in Carson Valley. And I work with the community theater. And there was an interest for recreation of old time radio show. And I've now done 5 of those. I have a source where I've got access to the actual scripts that were used back in the day for those shows, complete with commercials and everything. And being an attorney, my first concern was, what's the copyright? They are not copyrighted. None of them. None of them.
Really?
The scripts were owned by the sponsor. For example, the Jack Benny Show, sponsored at one point by Jell-O, later on by Lucky Strike. Well, Lucky Strike purchased the airtime and then contracted with Jack Benny, who then contracted with his writers and other cast members. But the shows actually belonged to Lucky Strike. So they felt that the scripts were just of no value. So there are repositories with these fantastic scripts. So when we do the recreation, we actually do the original scripts. There may be some topical references back from the 40s or 50s, which we will update or we just eliminate because they just don't make sense. But we also then have access to the commercials, even with the original music of the commercials. So we put on an evening of about 3 hours with a short break. The first one I did was basically a day in the life of old time radio, starting with the morning show, working to an afternoon soap opera, and then going into prime time. And every show has been a sellout. And the great thing is for the community theater, it's almost pure profit because we're not having to pay for performance
royalties.
Nothing.
Yeah, that's
so,
actually pretty cool.
So it works out really well. So I'm working on another one, trying to fit that in.
Justin, I am here in Northern Nevada, and I love old time radio. I'm a big fan of like Fibber McGee and Molly, Great Gildersleeve, Abbott and Costello. By all means, let me know when these things are coming because I'd love to get involved with that because that sounds like a ton of fun.
Well, it's great too because you've got a lot of people who are not comfortable appearing in a traditional book play. Yeah, where they've got to memorize all their lines and remember their blocking and all that kind of stuff.
Scripts there.
You got the script, and so we can do it in about 20 rehearsals. So they can get the characters down, we can get the flow going, and we actually do the sound effects live, so that you've got you see them. Like for example, we did a Superman, and there's a quick scene where he's bending a railroad rail. Well, that's a balloon that's blown up completely tightly, and you just rub your fingers across it to get the sound of
nice
a metal.
And that ruins it for me. I swore you were going to go, oh yeah, we have a guy in the back with a real rail going. Oh.
But it was really cool because we had an elderly woman come up to us after one of the performances, and she said, I watched the whole first act because I wanted to see how the sound effects went. She said, but I sat with my eyes closed the entire second act. And it took me back to sitting in my parents' living room when I was a little girl, and we were all listening to these shows. She said, awesome. So it took me back in time. So it was great. And young kids come up and say, I never knew that's what radio was. I thought it was always just music and talk. I had no idea. We did a shadow episode that was a kind of a spooky one, and they just ate that up. So getting the opportunity to do this, and then what we're doing now with Oakbridge, what I did with a couple of other productions, it fits in great, and it's a great break. And I'm basically a trial attorney, so my days are governed by the courtrooms and my clients, and so being able to chill out by doing what I do here, like what I'm talking with you guys, and the roles that I get to play, is awesome. It's a great break. Yeah, I'm loving it.
Awesome. Brian, same for you. Tell the folks who you are and how you got here.
Oh, well, now I got to follow Justin. It's like going on after the Beatles or something. I'm that kid that got sat in front of the TV when he was little and watched cartoon after cartoon after cartoon.
Yeah.
And used to, crack my dad up in the car by doing all the voices that I picked up on the TV. And when I got older, some guys had an improv group called the Whateverly Brothers, and they said, Brian, why don't you come in here and do this with us? And I was just like, it was like coming home, and we started to have a really blast. But then we lost our venue, and we all went out and auditioned for this big improv troupe in Los Angeles at the time called Mice, and I got in, and we started doing all the clubs in LA. We did the Comedy Store, we had a home at a place called Geo's, and eventually it ran through its life, it tanked. Okay. And I ended up going to New York about the same time the Groundlings started their school in New York, and I auditioned for them, got in with those guys, and I have been doing. One thing I noticed is that we get a lot of lawyers in improv classes. Yes and is apparently very popular with attorneys. So we do shows in New York, Los Angeles, probably about a good 10,000 hours worth of work. And my wife said, "Why don't you go back to college?" And I went, "Well, I don't know if I could even get in." And I did an audition at Chico State. And they said, "Okay, yeah, you can go to college." So I started working at college, and I eventually got an MFA in screenwriting. And I have been basically writing or teaching or performing or doing improv. The last gig I did was with a group in LA called the LA Connection, and they were a heck of a lot of fun. And I was working on my MFA, and you have to do a film. You have to do a short film for your MFA. And I said, "Well, wait, I'm in a room full of improv." You can believe how many people lined up to be in this thing and wanted to work for nothing. So you just feed them. It was a blast.
Easy.
So I was sitting literally on the computer, chatting with my friends on Facebook, and I saw you guys were looking for voices. And I said, "Oh, I'm going to go and sign up and see if they like any of the stuff I do." And the next thing I know, we were doing scenes for the superhero show, and we were having it was just so much fun to do it again. And you guys can call me whenever you want. I'll do it. It's just too much fun.
So you name dropped the Groundlings, which I actually know. I don't know about everybody out there.
I know the Groundlings.
Did you happen to be there at the time of anyone we might know?
Oh yeah, sure. Well, I was in New York. Okay, so we both happened to land in New York at the same time, and Randy Bennett and Shirley, what was her? She's gone now, but they were starting the school up out there, and so people came out of that school like Siobhan Fallon. Do you know Siobhan Fallon? Yep. But most of the big names came out of Los Angeles, and they eventually got to the point where they kind of sprung off and became their own thing. And I went back to California to go to school. But there was, I was doing these gigs, and I'm working at the front desk at the Mayflower Hotel and right off of Columbus Circle. And I'm checking people in at night, and I go over to the rack and I pull out the name of the reservation, and it's Gary Getzman. Do you know who Gary Getzman is? Gary Getzman is Tom Hanks' partner.
Okay.
But he was also one of my best friends in elementary school. and he goes, and I go, "Gary Getzman." I go, "This is really weird. I used to have a friend in elementary school named Gary Getzman." He goes, "Well, that's weird, because I used to have a friend in elementary school named Brian Murphy." And I go, "Wow, what are you doing?" He goes, "Oh, I'm a producer at Orion now." And I go, "Great, give me a job." And he took me from behind the desk, introduced me to Michael Armitage, and gave me a job in Miami Blue, right there, and said, and it was just one of those.
See, again, it's not about what you know; it's about who you know.
I can't tell you enough. It's about who you know.
There's way too much truth to that thing.
He said, "Give me a job."
I did. I said, "Give me a job." And he goes, "Oh, he just happened to be in New York."
That's awesome.
He was a casting in New York, and one of the people who were reading, and her name just popped out of my head. Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Molly Ringwald?
the other one.
This
Phoebe
wasn't
Cates'
last
friend
time.
in there. Phoebe Cates was there. Everybody was there, like virtually the whole cast, and they were reading for this Miami Blues movie, and he happened to be casting, and the director, Michael Armitage, is a really powerful director, just said, "Yeah, oh yeah, Brian would do it." And of course, I was hired as a front desk clerk, but
Hey,
it was a bit of a
do
stretch.
what you do.
It was a stretch. I had a line. It was like, "Here's your mail."
Whatever.
And they went, "Wow, that's really good." That was it.
That's
So
awesome.
that's how you get your SAG card.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very true.
And we had David Sword checking in. He was
Sword.
our guest on the last episode, who is the voice of David in Oakbridge. And he said he's a huge fan of old time radio. When he auditioned for Oakbridge, he used an episode of X-1, Hallucination Orbit from 1956. So, yeah, great stories, guys. So we'll go reverse order on this one. So, Brian, tell the audience about your character that you're playing in Oakbridge, and maybe give them a little taste of what they feel like, and tell us how you, as an actor, do you connect to the character? And yes, Brian.
Well, I don't want to spoil anything, but I play Mayor Carmichael. Mayor Carmichael is a politician.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not the seediest guy in the room, but he's one of them. And he's not the most dishonest guy in the room. He isn't the guy that has the most to hide, but he's got stuff to hide. And he definitely is not the most honest guy in the room. And I had to reach deep down inside. And yes, yeah, exactly.
And that's the voice.
He's referring to Mayor McCheese. And I had to reach deep down within to the darkest centers of my soul and come up with a way to relate to this character as a seedy politician in an environment where he had some secrets to keep, and he was under the watchful eye of some, law enforcement people. And that was really what kept me going. And I would, every time James would ask me to do something, I'd really have to, like, I would think to myself, what would Jack Nicholson do? And that's where that came from.
WWJN. WWJND.
Right. Exactly.
Justin, same for you. Tell us about the character you're playing and where you find the connections to the role.
I play the town sheriff, and I'm Brian's nemesis. I don't take in. I don't let any opportunity pass without giving him some shot about his puffery or his agenda or his goals in life. I've been the town sheriff for a lifetime. I'm an old crusty guy that I don't put up with politicians. I don't put up with crap. Yeah. And I've got a good crew in the office, but they're a little out there too. They do things that they shouldn't be doing, so I have to basically be the heavy hand to bring them back in. Then I've got a private life, and I've got secrets to hold too, which I'm not going to tell you about here. But I've got secrets to hold too that drive me in what I need to do. Yeah. In my background, it comes. I've known in my hometown, which is a small town in Illinois, we had a law enforcement officer, which was very much like my character here. Everyone in town basically loved him, respected him, but he also was no nonsense, but he had a heart as well. So I kind of lean towards that, and some of the work I do criminal law as well. So I see law enforcement on a regular basis. So I can pick out the good guys and the bad guys. I take a little bit of the bad guys, a little bit of the good guys, and now I'm the sheriff here.
So this is interesting because the two of you have never met before. So we're talking real life now, right? Brian and Justin. The two of you have never met before. And I correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys had no recording sessions together either.
No.
So there is back and forth between these two characters. So dealer's choice, whoever wants to go, tell us about that experience, what it's like from a recording perspective of not actually working with the talent that you're working with theoretically.
Go ahead, Brian.
Well, for me, it's always it's kind of a new experience. You have to imagine his detective breathing down your neck and giving you pause for literally everything that comes out of your mouth. For me, though, it's a completely different experience to work alone like that, because you get so much from being in a scene with another actor. We used to say, the scene is in your partner's eyes, but when you do work like this, it's in their voice, and you really get a lot from the way they say stuff, how they say stuff, and you don't really know how you're going to play it until you hear what it is they're saying. So I have to thank James for I was like, James, let's give me something to play off, and we would do these back and forth and say, well, yeah, let's think about it like this, and what if this was going on, and then you play with it that way.
Yeah, you do you basically get a couple different versions of it, just depending on how the other person plays, so therefore that you can kind of make sure that the scene meshes.
Exactly. But it's so much fun when we were doing the Captain Fearless, and I don't remember the actor's name, but he was playing the Chiseler. And you'd get lost in the scene. You would just get lost in it. And so I'm kind of jealous of Justin doing all the radio stuff with all these people actually on stage. We used to do a bit in improv in the old days where we would literally turn the lights off and improvise a radio show right there with just doing nothing but sound, just doing nothing but the voices.
That's cool too. I wish when I was doing improv, I wish we'd almost had something like that. That'd been kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's a blast.
Justin, for you?
Well, part of the previous series that I'd been in, a lot of my recording was done by myself. So it was not something that was foreign to me in doing it here for Oakbridge. I read the scripts thoroughly frontwards and backwards and try to pick up the nuances that the writers are putting in there. But when it comes time to picturing my nemesis, the mayor, in the old Andy Griffith show, the first mayor, he only lasted one season because he passed away. But then Parley Bear came in as Mayor Stoner, and he was a pompous SOB and was always trying to tell the sheriff how to run his office and everything else. So I basically pretended that when I was doing my lines for Oakbridge, that I was talking to Mayor Stoner from the Andy Griffith show. It gives me that edge in my voice to basically try to be nice, but basically put him in his place and let him know I keep him in a little box on the shelf and I only pull him out when I need him.
So you brought up an interesting point. Everybody that we've talked to so far, when we've asked, did you read the scripts completely? Do you know what happens and everything? Everyone we've interviewed so far has said no. They really just read their scenes, or they don't want the surprise. They want to, when they hear it, when they listen to it, they want to still have kind of that shock. So it's interesting, Justin, that you read the scripts upside down and inside out. So we're going to get a unique perspective in that regard from you. What do you think of the show as a whole? In that you have read it all, you haven't heard it yet, but
right.
You know everything that's going to happen. So what do you think?
What I liked about it is that it builds suspense and then it drops off, and then it goes calm, I should say, not flat, calm.
Yeah.
And then you get some insight into the personal lives of the characters away from their jobs. My job as a sheriff, the deputies that I've got, my daughter, those people in town. So you get a sense of, when I close my eyes, it's like I can watch a program and I can see these people all gathering in this town. And as I read through the scripts, I see their development. I see what their agenda is. I'm able to understand their motivation and what they're doing by just what the lines indicate. So it gives me a better idea of the whole scenario that we're working from, so that when I'm doing my roles, I can feel at a point where I need to be more authoritative, or at a point where I myself am caught by surprise what I've just learned when it comes in, the second murder, as the bodies start stacking up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I'm ready for that, but I know I'm going to be surprised, so I'm ready to be surprised. So it just gives me a better perspective. That's how it's basically how I present a case when I'm interviewing a client for the first time, and we're plotting out where we need to go with it.
It all comes back together.
Exactly.
No, yeah, Justin was real fun because we did Saturday sessions. I think we did Saturday sessions. So we were it was just the two of us for a few hours on Saturday mornings, and so we got everything done within the 2 sessions. Brian, we had Saturday sessions too, but we ran a little long, and then we had to come back and get some stuff. And then actually, just last week, I had to call him because apparently I didn't realize we missed a line. And so I had to send an email and just be like, hey, I know you get off this. I know you get off at this time. You're going to be available. He's like, yeah, I got you. And so he came back in, did a couple lines real quick, and we knocked that out. So.
And Brian, for you, did you read all of the scripts in their entirety?
I read every one of my lines. I put myself in every one of the scenes and the settings that the action took place. And as you walk through it, you tend to, the way I look at a scene is, the audience wants to know, they basically want to know who wants what from whom. What happens if they don't get it and why now? So you try to look at those aspects of the scene itself and see what it is that my character wants in that scene, why he wants it, and what's at stake. And so in that way, you approach it from you have an intention. I'm doing this action in order to achieve a goal. And that's really all I need to make it real for me.
Yeah, I'm interesting in the sense that I kind of hybrid depending on what I'm working on, because I like to voice act, but I also produce and do all that other stuff. And so when I'm doing a show, I like to know the entirety of the show, and especially if I'm doing a stage show, I like to read the entire thing, because what if one of the actors I'm working with drops a line? Can I pick it up, or can I at least proceed? Where with the radio stuff or the audio dramas, I don't read as much, because I do kind of want that surprise of what might happen. I skim, but I don't get deep into it.
It's been different. Because beforehand I read I had to read all the scripts. Of course, I'm directing the whole thing, but I had to read all the scripts, and I was making edits and stuff like that.
Good to know you read them.
Yeah. And so it's one of those things. It's like, so it's kind of like, I was kind of like, now for me, it's the excitement of hearing it all come together. That's the exciting part for me now. So it's like, okay, cool. Now that's what I was envisioning, and so I'll hit up Joe. Hey, do we got another take of that, or what's going on? So, and like, again, Joe works wonders anyway, so it's not even that big of a deal, but no, it's just becoming, okay, I hear it and I'm just like, okay, does this work? Does that work? And so, but definitely, like working on Murphy's, for example, I read, I have to read all the scripts because of the production, but from the producing, but before I was just kind of going through my scenes so that when I could go back and listen to it and really hear it all together. So that's that. I feel you on that, Brian.
So
and Marlon Brando doesn't even read his lines. He doesn't even know his lines. When they were doing The Godfather, Robert Duvall had Marlon Brando's lines on his shirt, and that was the first time Brando read the lines. And
wow, that's crazy.
He got an Academy Award.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't even do the man didn't even do the work.
No,
he was in the moment.
I guess that I guess there's something to say about
There's-
that.
There are numerous ways to slice a carrot.
One of the greatest character roles, and man, Brando killed that. And speaking of character roles, Brian, you to me, I think, are a character actor. I feel like that's where you thrive.
Yeah.
Can you share with the audience some of the characters that you've at least played for us, or any that you feel comfortable just presenting on the fly? Let's start with Time Traveling Nazis of Doom, Captain Fearless. Can you give a little taste for what you did there?
Well, Joseph, when you're doing that one, that is a very bad scene. He was a nasty German Nazi person who has to go in there and try to take over the world. It's not really a very kind man to do that with. And
then over on Murder by Garlic.
This is all like, and then you have the French guys who talk like this all the time, and they want to run around and chase women and do all kinds of weird things with food. And then and then a lot of times you get calls to do, like, you want to do a Scotland like this, you got to round the rugged rocks, and you got to get in there and do that like that, which is completely different from an Irish guy or a British guy or Swedish like my dad. This used to crack my dad. If I would hit in the car and I'd say, "Well, Dad, why don't you get on the dang freeway already?" Which is a Tim Conway steal, right? And he would be like, literally tears would be coming out of his eyes, and it just made me very happy to be able to crack my dad up like that. And so you it's just one of these things. You don't know how you do it. You just pick it up and you just try to make it. They just come out of you, and they all want different things, and it's just a heck of a lot of fun. And when you're doing like improv on stage stuff, you never know which ones are going to come out. You never know which ones the audience is going to call for. And then like one really weird one that they called it every night, an Australian. And Australians like, g'day, you're going to do an Australian like this, you don't get to talk like that. And it's really weird that they thought that was interesting. So it's just fun. And it's a blast. It's just something that you do all the time. You get on a phone call with people. Like if you get on the phone and you're talking to somebody, the best people to do it with are folks who call you and they're trying to scam you and stuff. And you're going like, yes, hello.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, I'm from Microsoft, and I really need to get in your computer. Hi, Microsoft. Okay, what do you need me to do? And they're like, well, can you get to your screen? Oh, you want me to scream? No. You just play it.
and one last one, if you could, just for the audience, because they probably know you also from Murphy's Inc., where you played Johannes in season 2 in the Dancing Plague arc.
That was, if I can remember, we made that. That was like almost an invented kind of nationality, as I recall.
And we were he was one of these people that came from almost like a cross between the Mideast like this, and then trying to give him some antiquity in there as well. So his vocabulary was very limited to the things he knew. You didn't know the stuff, stuff like that.
So you want to become somebody, and yet you don't want to lose. You don't want to be crazy.
Yeah, Brian is one of those fantastic people where it's like, hey, I've got this character. I think I got a guy that can do it, because I'm a character actor as well. I love to play different, unique individuals. But when somebody's got it, they've got it, and I love having you in my back pocket for that need. Like, oh, I need a Eastern German. Oh, I need a Western German, because he can give me two distinct different takes.
Right.
It's
exactly. You get the German, right? Because they're like, oh, we're going to go like down to the, have to listen to polka and all that kind of stuff.
And then you have the nasty, evil German who wants to talk like this.
And so you have to have these little shades. You put little shadings on and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's all it's just fun. It's just fun.
Yeah. Anytime we have a character, it's like, hey, see what Brian's doing. And
and then you go, and then they go and say, hey, can you do Mayor Carmichael. Oh yeah, where's he from? I don't know, the Midwest.
Yeah. So I think that's the only time. That's like you actually using your voice for that.
So it's fun.
Yeah.
Then of course you have Justin, who his audition for Oakbridge was a lawyer monologue.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
That's right.
You
Justin,
can't handle the truth.
Do you I don't get the impression, please correct me if I'm wrong, that you're the wild and crazy character actor, but if you are, please, do you where do you generally like, where's your sweet spot?
I do really well at comedy. I've done more comedy roles in my career than dramatic roles. But being in a previous series, I was a very evil, old, mad scientist type character.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like,
That laugh, though.
I'm almost waiting for you to be like, you will never understand the power of the dark side.
Yo, he has a Senator Palpatine vibe going on right now.
right. Yes.
Silver hair. I dig it.
Yeah,
I
there you go,
dig
see?
that.
Yeah. But I like the comedy. I like the clown roles too. And I let loose on that. I had the lead in the play Moon Over Buffalo. It was kind of cool. I got a standing ovation at the drunk monologue. So I thought, okay, this works.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So it's fun stopping the show.
So we're winding down. We got to wrap here shortly. But before we do, I always like to provide the opportunity. Justin, what are you working on next?
Well, I'm working on putting together another recreation of old time radio for the theater here. And so hopefully we can get that on in the early fall. It depends on the venue schedule that we can work with. So I like that. And I've got 3 trials coming up at the end of the year. So I'm working on those too in my free time.
And your clockable hours.
That's right. Yes. And then I'm looking for any opportunity to do like what we do with you guys. Any opportunity, whether it's a small part or a lead, it doesn't matter. It's all fun.
Oh, you'll be back.
Season 2 of Oakbridge, will you be back?
Absolutely. Yep. I've already been asked if I'm available, and I said absolutely. The
Awesome.
Character will continue, and some of the secrets will start surfacing as my guess. I haven't seen any scripts, but from what I'm surmising, it's going to build.
Yeah,
so that'll be fun.
Yeah, Lamar.
Well, and just for the one time, we'll throw it out there. If you haven't realized who Justin is yet, if you haven't recognized the voice yet, he did play the role of Josiah Heritage in The Secret Carriage. So if you haven't, fantastic voice actor over there as well. Brian, what do you got going on? What do you got coming up?
I'm sending out. I'm working on a TV pilot called Sunset's Heat.
Oh, nice.
It's a sci-fi TV cop procedural spoof parody.
Mm-hmm.
It would be as if, imagine Roger Corman and Dick Wolf got together to do a show, and it's about a crooked cop who gets sent to a penal colony. She's a female cop, and she's a vice cop, and she gets caught up in a sting and has to, in order to get back to Earth, she gets sent to a Martian colony as a mail order bride, where the ratio of women to men is very, very low. There's like one woman for every 25 or 30, maybe even 100 guys.
Sheesh.
He ends up working as an indentured servant in a mine on the moon of Phobos, where they have discovered this alien mold that only grows on the skin of women, and they have to peel it off like a Band-Aid, and it's worth trillions of dollars. And she gets caught up in the whole show is about these characters who are caught up in this bizarre economic system built around this substance, which is the only thing that will let food grow back on Earth. And it also is a great psychedelic drug.
Hey, Brian. Hey, give me a job.
Yes, we do need a hotel clerk.
What I'm wondering though is, did you just improv the hell out of us, or
No.
That's legit.
because that story
It almost sounded fake. It almost sounded like it wasn't real.
I thought it was an episode from Mork and Mindy.
What happened to Justin? Where did Justin go? I didn't hear.
Yeah.
No, it's, and then we're also sending out I have a couple of partners, and we're sending out a feature called the Infiniplex. It's about it's a story about a guy. It's a horror. It's kind of a horror comedy psycho thriller where that transcends consciousness itself. Really freaky.
So will you gentlemen be joining us at KaboomCon September 7th in Carson City?
September 7th?
September 7th.
Good chance of it.
Of course. Yeah. Yes. Duh.
Yeah.
Well, that's good news. So for the people listening after the fact, or those even listening live, Justin Clouser, Brian Murphy will be at KaboomCon.
You can meet them live.
Meet them, greet them. Just don't beat them. Well, I am so appreciative of having you both here. I love talking to both of you guys. You are interesting individuals, to say the least. And as Brian, season 2 Oakbridge, will you be there?
Yes.
Oh, spoiler! He survives. Good to know.
No. Well, I'm
there.
coming back from the dead.
Yeah.
So we will have you guys back, in the future, of course, for more interviews when we get into season 2. And I love working with you guys, and I look forward to more in the future. And of course, David is asking if there will be an Oakbridge panel at KaboomCon. I'm not against it. We will have to see who we get committed, because right now the creator of Oakbridge, unfortunately, isn't going to be able to make it. So we're going to see what we can do. But Brian, Justin, thank you both for being here. I look forward to whatever beautiful things you guys do. Brian, I definitely want to see that pilot get made, because that sounds crazy as hell. And Justin, what's the local courthouse we can come see you putting on a trial?
Oh, well, let's see.
That'll be fun.
Down here in Douglas County in Minden. Probably I'm thinking there's one I'm involved with in Yarrington and one up in Carson City. Yeah.
So if anybody wants to go sit in the is it the gallery? Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
Watch Justin put on a show.
Oh, that
yeah.
That reminds me. I got jury duty.
Put on a defense or
jury duty.
Yes.
That sounds terrible.
Yes. Yeah.
Well,
I don't know if I could be on this trial. I know that guy.
Yeah. There you go. See? Yeah.
Well, once again, thank you, gentlemen, and look forward to talking to you guys again in the near future.
Thank you for your
Take
time.
care.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you, Justin.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks so much.
Terrific. Great.